Okay, this is Izzy Dakota Jones with the Art of Doing Podcast 2021, and I'm going to be talking to Whitney Ullman. Whitney Ullman has a show called Go to Whitney. Go to Whitney, City Pulse, and she interviewed my band. And about, I don't know, 2 years ago, almost 2 years ago, when we met in Los Angeles on Sunset Strip outside the Whiskey A Go Go. And Whitney interviews all kinds of interesting people on her shows. She's from Atlantic City, and on the Jersey Shore area and all around there. So she must have some pretty interesting stories to talk about. And she's been on Good Morning America. She's reported for TMC, Access Hollywood. She's done a lot. And she's also run for council in Galloway Township in New Jersey area there. So she was the youngest. So we're going to talk to her about all that stuff. So hang in there, everybody. We'll be talking to Whitney in a moment.
Hello.
Hello, Whitney. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's things in New Jersey?
Fun.
Huh? Are you guys?
I said this is fun.
How's your weather over there? How's things going there?
Well, it's not great. It's been rainy, but it hasn't really snowed or anything.
Yeah.
It snowed in Philly, and it snowed a little farther away a few days ago, so we got lucky. So I guess we'll see what will happen over the next week.
I know. We got it. We actually, why I ask you is that we got wet snow today, so.
Oh, really?
That's the first time for us. So we know there's snow on the mountains. That's a good thing, right? For skiing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So hey, let's pop into this interview. This is going to be interesting.
Okay, cool. I'm excited about it.
I know, this is great. So Whitney, you started Go to Whitney. When did you start that? How long ago?
I started the Go to Whitney brand officially back in 2009. So
Okay.
I guess it's been about 11 years,
Yeah.
12 years, something like that.
Yeah. And then when you started that, did you first start off like interviewing what kind of people? All kinds of different media people.
Well, what happened was I created the Go to Whitney brand initially because at the time I had been very involved with a lot of organizations, and I was the president of the New Jersey Association of Women Business Owners.
Yeah.
In Cape County. I was the president of the Junior Chamber of Commerce. I was a city councilwoman.
I know. That blows my mind. I read that and I was like, wow, politics, eh?
Yeah, I know. That's something I'll probably never do that again, but I did it for 4 years. And so, you can imagine, I had all these connections and I knew all these women in business and all, politicians and different people, and I kind of became this go-to resource for people.
Cool.
But I always had this kind of desire to be in the entertainment field.
Mm-hmm.
And so it happened back in 2009 where I was able to kind of take my experience. I always tried to be like an extra in a movie or an extra in a commercial. Whatever came to Atlantic City, I tried to do.
Yeah.
But I never really had the opportunity to go to New York or Philly or LA to, pursue that passion because I had to work to support myself. So
Right.
I never really could do anything like that. It wasn't really until I met my husband when I was able to kind of pursue my dreams a little bit more and kind of get out there. And eventually I wound up doing the entertainment for a local NBC affiliate.
Oh.
And, this is a long story short, and then I started writing for them. And then my whole career kind of morphed from mortgages and, politics and everything into entertainment.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just through networking, right, and meeting all these people. That's just so interesting.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I guess like a place like where Atlantic City, New Jersey. The population's big, right? I'm on the west coast.
Yeah.
I'm on the west coast of Canada in Vancouver, and Vancouver's taken a long time. We had World's Fair here in 1986, and then after that, the city exploded, right? And like it was, then it got into the millions and millions of people. The city just grew,
Yeah.
expanded, right? And it's different now. Now you get we can meet people from everywhere, right? In the early days, it wasn't like that. Before Expo, it was a small little town, right? Like a city, but a small
Right.
city, like Seattle, just very small, right? Now we're like Seattle and Vancouver, are like these huge metropolitan cities, right?
Yeah, well, that's all it takes, is for something big to happen in the city, and then it becomes popular. But I mean, Atlantic City has such a rich history with so much over the
Oh,
decades that
oh
it's
yeah,
not just one thing.
yeah,
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 I mean, it's a pretty big city, and not only is it a big city in terms of its residents, but it's like a really big city in terms of all the tourists and all the people that make it a destination for them. They
yeah.
really live with, 100 miles of all these major cities where people can come and gamble and come to Atlantic City for the amenities. So it's
Yes.
pretty cool.
It is pretty cool because there's so much going on, right? I mean, like you don't have
Yeah.
and it's all in one area. You know what I mean? Like it's not like I said, like Vancouver. You have to if you want to go to Seattle, it's a 3 hour drive to go to Seattle across the line, right?
Right.
And if you want to go. Actually, there's nowhere else. If you want to go to Whistler, the ski resort, which is really famous, you can go there, but that takes you 2 or 3 hours to get there, right? It's still there's quite a bit of drive, like going to LA. There's a lot of driving to do, right? Where I
Yeah.
imagine like Atlantic City and New York and Philly, it's all closer, and Boston, it's all closer in, right? And the population's
I'm
bigger.
sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it seems that way. I mean, first of all, the good thing about Atlantic City specifically is that once you're there, you can pretty much do anything that you want. So not only can you gamble, but you can check out a restaurant, owned by a celebrity, or you could go
Yeah,
to the beach or the boardwalk, or you can see some of the history.
yeah,
You can take classes, like you can do all kinds of different things, or see a show. So you have everything. It's like a one-stop shop, a one-stop destination. But like you said, I mean, some of the other major cities like Philly, it's only an hour away. New
yeah,
York is still about 3 hours, depending on how fast you drive.
yeah.
And so it might seem closer, but it's probably very similar
Yes,
situation.
exactly.
But
Yeah.
that's the good thing about it. City is that not only do the casinos have gambling, but they have entertainment, and so
Yes.
people go specifically for that.
And especially nowadays,
Well,
right? Especially, well, not right now, but over the years, the same like here in Vancouver, we've had a lot more casinos. So we have like we have the Hard Rock in Vancouver, and the Hard Rock Casino, and that's where you go to see a lot of acts too nowadays, right? Besides,
yeah.
so there's lots of that, and I imagine Atlantic City, you must get them all, You see,
Oh yeah.
you see a lot of good, cool stuff. I mean, a lot of good acts. I mean, then on top of it, I guess you also get into like the sports teams too, right? You've interviewed the sport players, right? Like basketball, football, right?
Yeah, in fact, I just posted a memory from the Harlem Globetrotter.
Oh, right on.
So, yeah, it was really cool. They taught me how to do some tricks, and I was like spinning the basketball on my finger. I have this. So first of all, I am very unathletic,
Right?
and I don't exercise or play sports, but I have this uncanny ability to throw the basketball behind me, like backwards, and get it in the hoop.
Wow.
Just really, so I'm not even facing the hoop, and I just kind of throw it over my head, and it goes in. It's so weird. So I did that for one of the Harlem Globetrotters, and it was really fun. But
Wow.
yeah, I mean, and like with sports, we have historic Boardwalk Hall. They have a lot of sporting events held there as well. And then, we have the Atlantic City Convention Center where there's a lot of meetings and different people come from all over just to be able to stay in AC. And the other cool thing is, like, when you were talking about celebrities, was, not only are you going to see entertainment on the stages in the casinos, but there's also some really popular nightclubs, and the nightlife is huge too.
It is.
So
It
you'll get a
is.
different type of entertainment or
Hmm.
DJ or band or whoever at a nightclub or even at a lounge, like
Yeah. Yeah.
different bars. It's pretty
Yes.
cool. It's not just one. It's not just one thing.
And so I mean, before COVID hit, so I imagine, like you're saying, how was the bar scene and everything in Atlantic City, like for entertain for bands and stuff? How was it? Because here in Vancouver, our live music scene is almost dried up. It's really weird.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Well,
where you go to Toronto, and Toronto, in Canada is a fairly big. It is the biggest city. Toronto has still got some live shows happening. Just like when I met you in LA, LA still has live shows. You know what I mean?
right.
But not as much. But how is it in Atlantic City for you guys now?
Well, now, of course, it's a lot different, and it's really sad to say that, but, everyone has to be safe. The good thing is, if you think about it, I mean, the casinos are such a large area,
Mm-hmm.
a very big square footage of space, where it's just a lot safer, because you have to figure, if anything's gonna happen to you, it would probably happen in a smaller space than a bigger space.
Yeah,
Depends
yeah.
on how you view it. But their air filtration systems are the best. All the casinos have a whole program put together where they have all their safety precautions in place.
Yeah.
Temperature when you come in. They have plexiglass at the tables now. Now our New Jersey governor has issued a mandatory closing of restaurants after 10 p.m.
Yeah.
That's kind of like a bummer.
I know.
But at least it's not like Philly where everything is just closed. You can't just
Yeah.
any restaurant indoors.
Yeah, we got that in Vancouver. They have to close by 10 right now. And that's been going on for about I guess about 3 months now. And so then of course
Wow.
then all the bands can't play right now, like at all. So it's really dried up, right? So where everybody's just sitting tight. And then an interesting thing, I'm a frontline healthcare worker too. So I work on the front line in
Oh,
healthcare. Yeah, so
for you.
I'm a porter. So like I port patients around to tests and stuff. So I'm frontline. Right now our site where I am in Burnaby, it's called Burnaby. It's like a little section of Vancouver. In Burnaby, one of the sites I work at is there's over 150 COVID patients right now, and
Wow.
breakouts everywhere, and 95 workers off, like sick.
Wow.
So it's really right now. It's like we're at a really scary time at this moment, right? I mean
Yeah.
the vaccines are just coming out, like you guys, and so we're all like, I'm sure I'm going to get poked here in another couple of weeks. I'm hoping, because we're getting really tired of it. Like we're starting to get that
Yeah.
fatigue, that fatigue of having to gown up every day. Like I go work this afternoon, I'm gonna have to gown up, and walk around with a mask all day long inside the
No,
work.
too much.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, you're just going, holy smoke, right? It's way too
Yeah.
much. But I'm looking for daylight, like you guys are, right?
Exactly. And there is, even like you were talking about the Hard Rock, they had the Motor City Live Motown tribute for Christmas. So it's
Oh
really
wow.
nice. I mean, at least they're having song shows.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and they have bands that play in their lounge still, even though people have to be separated in terms of where they sit. And
Hmm.
there's also acjokes.com, so there's a comedy club, AC Jokes, and they perform 7 nights a week. So, I mean, there are a few entertainment options, but it's
Hmm.
definitely not the same as it was before.
Yeah. So hey, I want to ask you too about I mean, you've worked for, am I right? You worked for Access Hollywood. You did some reporting for them, did you? And TMC, did you do that
Well,
too?
Well, so basically, I'm a freelance entertainment reporter.
Right.
What happens is when I interview the celebrities, then sometimes the major outlets like Access Hollywood or TMZ Live or E News, they will say, "Hey, we saw you interviewed so and so. We'd love to air your footage, or we'd like to put your footage on our."
Very cool.
So then I freelance with them. I don't work for them.
No, which
It's
is
kinda
cool though. That is cool. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get to be like my own boss.
That's that's even better. It's your set of rules.
Exactly.
So tell me, last time I was talking to you, you interviewed. I remember you interviewed what's his name from Kiss, Paul Stanley. He had an art thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that you said that was really interesting. Who else have you interviewed over the years that you found interesting? Like in.
Oh, God, I love everybody. Like Gordon Ramsay, he's just great to interview.
Oh,
I love
wow.
talking to him. And I've interviewed, Paris Hilton.
Interesting.
I've interviewed Rick Springfield.
Wow.
I've interviewed so many different people, like a lot of reality stars, from everybody. I don't know, like, who you would know. I'm sure you know everybody, but, like Jesse McCartney and
Oh wow,
a lot
yes.
of the celebrity chefs, Little John,
Yep.
Bobby Flay, so like all of them.
Wow.
Carrie and Michael Simon, a lot of people from Bravo TV,
Right on.
like a lot of the Real Housewives. Black Eyed Peas, everybody.
Wow.
If you name it, I probably talked to them. Dennis Rodman. I've done it all,
That's so cool. That is cool. And when you're interviewing these people, I guess over the years, you're getting some pretty cool stories, right? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
and what how their lives exist and how it's going. I mean, somebody like Paris Hilton, she sure had an up and down life too, right? She,
Yeah.
it's
What's
interesting.
interesting about her? Well, first of all, her middle name is Whitney, so of course I'm partial to like.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I really like her a lot, but the thing is, it's like if you knew her, if you watched her on TV or you knew of her, you probably thought, oh, she's ditzy or she's not smart or whatever you would want to say.
Yes.
So not true. She is, first of all, such a nice, down-to-earth person.
Yep.
She loves her fans. She does a lot for her fans. She is entrepreneurial. And the thing is, listen, when you have money, and, it is easier because then you can create businesses because it takes money to make money.
That's right.
So I get that there's a little bit of a skew, in her favor there. But at the same time, for most people who have money, they don't want to do anything. Like, they're just kind of living off life. They live off the interest and they just have fun. But she actually turned her money into these very thriving businesses, and she's like a
So cool.
entrepreneur. And she does so many things. And then now that she came out, recently, have you, heard the news or anything where she was talking about what happened to her when she was younger?
Yeah, I saw some of that. I heard that. Yeah.
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 So, talking about that, it was kind of it's kind of interesting because I know when I've talked to her and I've asked her, what are things people don't know about you? She would say, oh, I'm a tomboy, or she likes to stay home. And I totally get it, because even, when I'm running around, interviewing and doing all this stuff, I just want to be home. I don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
But, she had a lot of things happen in her life, and she really persevered. And I don't know, I just really like her. I like her personality and everything that she stands for.
That's cool that, like I said, you get in there and you find out how certain people are. That's like say a really old story. My mom was, she's 88, but she was when she was younger, she went to Vegas, and she had friends in Vegas who lived there, like Canadians that moved down to Vegas, and my mom went there, and then my mom was big fan of Dean Martin, so Dean Martin was playing this casino, and the lawyer knew his management, so the lawyer got Dean Martin to come and sit at the table and hang out with my mom. So my mom said, you know what? He's not a drunk. He drinks apple juice on stage, and he's a nice guy. Like, she goes, he was a really nice person. He wasn't a jerk. He wasn't mean. He talked about his kids and his wife, and she goes, you know what? He was so so nice. She goes, you did that persona on stage where he's always drunk and he's being kind of risque and stuff for those times. She goes, it was not even true. So you get to meet. I guess like you said, you get to meet all these people, and they're so much different, right?
Yeah, exactly. Or sometimes, you have to, in order to get the interview, sometimes you have to go through their publicist or their manager. And so those people are the gatekeepers, where they are not friendly. So you kind of anticipate an interview with a celebrity to be something that's going to be not fun, or they're going to be like a total jerk. But then when you talk to them, they're so nice. So sometimes it's the people they surround themselves with, and then it gives them a bad rap. But it's not really them.
Yeah. My buddy did that, who owns a guitar store here in Vancouver, and he donated a beautiful guitar, acoustic guitar, really expensive one, to Robert Plant when Robert Plant was here, and to a show for cancer. And so he went down and brought the guitar to the concert venue, and so he handed it to Robert, and Robert signed it, and then he got a picture with Robert, and then he got tickets to come back that night to go backstage with his wife. So I went with them and a few other people, and we didn't get to go backstage, but he did. So he went backstage, and so you're right, the handlers didn't want him to go near Robert at before the show, and he managed to sneak up behind the guy, and he got He got him and his wife got two pictures, and Robert was hugging them, and he was talking to him,
Yeah.
and the guy was really choked. The guy looked at him. He says, "You're lucky, you got away with that, right?" And my buddy just says, "Hey, you know, he's a
Yeah.
nice person. I just want to get to know him, right?
Right.
I'm not a bad guy, So yeah, you're right about that. It's the handlers that are hard to deal with, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, so let me know. You also, when you did city council stuff, I find, let's turn it a little bit towards the politics. So, how did you find the politics? Where did you come from? Did you come from a Republican background, a Democratic background?
Well, so this is a kind of a crazy story, but I have always been a natural leader. So, like I was saying,
Yeah.
at the time when I was president of the Women Business Owners, and I had, I was the top 40 under 40 professionals in my area one year, and then I became the president of the Junior Chamber, and I was just kind of, in the area and known as, the person who was like this go-to resource. And one day, I was at my local bar. This is a true story, and I'm at the local bar. We call it Cheers anyway. It's called the Corner Tavern, but
Right on.
sitting there, and the guy who was the president of the school board at the time was like, Whitney, you should get into politics. And I said, I don't know anything about politics. That's definitely not. It was not something that I aspired to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And he goes, but listen, people need a voice, and I always feel like I'm a fighter for the underdog, and I like to make sure that people are their voices can be heard in a sense, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So anyway, I wound up taking him up on his offer, and he said, "Why don't you go to the Republican Club?" And I said, "Okay." Now he could have said, "Why don't you go to the Democrat Club?" And I would have went there, but he said,
Yeah.
"Go to the Republican meeting." I said, "Okay." So I went to the meeting, and I sat there, and I was, just kind of listening and trying to get a feel for whether or not I would like politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess because I showed up and I kept showing up, that's, they took that as a sign of, hey, maybe we should get Whitney on the ticket. And then they
Wow.
put me on the ticket. But come to find out years later, I was only put on the ticket initially to kind of take the votes away from the other side. I didn't know that, though. I thought they actually really wanted me on the ticket.
Right.
But then my feelings were hurt. But the bottom line is I wound up winning anyway. And I wound up beating out, a former mayor, one of my old teachers, someone who had been in for 25 years. So I had,
Wow.
really kind of beat out, a lot of people. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to make the most of this. And I stuck it through for 4 years.
Wow. That's so cool. And I mean, because I on my end of it, I've been in a union position, right? With the musicians union, and I've also done it through the hospitals union, right? The hospital employees union. So, and I've been involved at both my local hospitals where I've sat on chairperson of the locals for over 10, 15 years. So when you do that too, you get sort of involved in politics, because healthcare, it's a big deal for all of us, right? So I would always get involved. So I dealt with a lot. I got involved with the politics side of things too, and sometimes really hard to really to get a straight answer out of people. You know what I mean? And you always have to. You're always like you. I guess you must have had to battle sometimes, right? With people.
It was a constant battle. And the thing is, you go in with good intentions.
Yeah.
You make a difference, but it's such a huge learning curve, and there's a lot. And when you have people that are relying on you, you're never going to make everyone happy, and it's a thankless decision. So
Yes.
One day you'll make people happy with a decision you make, and the next day those same people will hate you.
Yeah.
So you're always feeling like you're not doing the right thing, even though you tried to. So I just tried to do what I thought was best, to the best of my ability, and I stuck it through. But I think now, being that I'm a little bit older and wiser, it would be a little bit different if I did it now versus 10, because that was about 10 years ago.
Yeah, I hear
So
you.
I think now, with life the way it is, I feel like I could maybe make a little bit more of a difference now.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear you. I once was like talking about battling, like you're always constantly doing it. I once got to a point where I was battling with the employer, which is basically the government, and in Canada. I'm basically battling with the government, and then with this, it's like the province, which would be the state for you. I'm battling with the state, and then I'm battling with my union, because my union doesn't want to do it this way. They want to do it that way. The employer doesn't want to hear it that way. Finally, one day I saw one of the politicians that was, she came to she was a representative in our neighbor in our area, and she was a very nice lady, and she was going for some tests, and she said, "Hey, how you doing?" I says, "Not bad." I go, "Boy, I'm getting really tired of this." And she goes, "What's the matter?" I says, "I'm battling you guys over on this side, and I'm battling the employer on this side, and I'm trying to protect the workers." And I says, "I'm getting it like from all angles." And I says, "I'm really getting tired of it." Because by then I'd done like 5 or 6 years. And she looked at me, Whitney, and she said, "You know what? If you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, Joe." She says that's an old proverb, but she goes, "If you can't handle it no more, then you need to back up and punt." She goes, "There's a time to fight and a time to back down, right?" And she goes,
Exactly, yeah.
"Yeah." And then when you've had enough, right? And that's one lesson I learned. I learned, like, okay, that now I need to back down and not be so aggressive.
Exactly. You just have to kind of know when to fold them, right?
Yeah, when to hold them, when to fold them, exactly. So talking about the going back to the entertainment side of things, like you said. So what are your plans further? I mean, I know we're going through COVID right now. I mean, hopefully we're going to see a brighter side of things. What are your plans next to do, like with your shows and stuff?
Well, I'll tell you. So the crazy thing about the whole thing was, because from going on TV, I had to go online and source all the information that was going on in the city, and there really wasn't one main hub that had all the information that I specifically needed. So there are multiple places where you can find information, but not one main thing that I really wanted to kind of grab from.
Right.
So I created this brand called the City Pulse.
Yes.
Hey, we can have everywhere. But anyway, thecitypulse.com. And so initially it was going to be like a one-stop hub for everything, like dining, nightlife, entertainment, anything, that you want to find out that's going on in your city.
Right.
And then what happened was I hired a web guy, and I said, let's try to work on this, because I had already built the brand back in 2016, but I wanted to launch a website and make it available to everybody.
Right.
So I started, and when we were finally going to launch the site for entertainment and nightlife, it was right like at the end of January, February, and basically Corona hit, and they closed everything down.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm just about to launch my website. So I kind of put it on the back burner, and I figured, like everyone else, this will be just a few weeks, and we'll get back to normal. Well, hello, we're like, 8 months later, and we're still in the same boat.
Yeah.
So then back in June, and I'll never forget the date because it was actually my anniversary, on June 22nd, they said that they were going to start opening the restaurants and the casinos and stuff in New Jersey. So my web guy was like, I had called my web guy a few days prior, and I said, listen, I think we should just table this until things get back on track. And my web guy, Paul, from Spotlight Marketing, he was like, Whitney, he's like, you are going to launch this. He's like, I'm not taking no for an answer. Like, you're going to do this. And I'm like, what? But I'm thinking, what? Yeah, like it's my own website. Who cares? Like, it's my own thing. Like what do I have to worry about? Like, I have a ton of press releases. I could throw up some information on there from those releases and just kind of, see where it goes. So I said, okay. So in the interim, I wound up contacting a few people I knew in the industry, like in hospitality and like foodies and people from Philly and New York. And I was like, hey, I'm starting this website. Would you be interested in kind of having a platform to put your information? And they all said yes.
Wow.
So every person said yes. And now there's like 18 people writing for me. And they're from all walks of life, from Philly, from New Jersey. I have two major authors. Like, you know, I have R.C. Saab, who does 100 Things to Do at the Jersey Shore. I have Irene Levy-Baker, who does 100 Things You Could Do in Philly, and then you like Unique Eats. And I have Sarah Hodgson from like New York City. You should see some of her articles that are so thorough, and Kat Foley. And I have so many really great people on my, you know, on the City Pulse, and it's just this great hub right now, and it's really growing, really just nicely. I even have our weatherman, Nick Pittman, Nor'easter Nick, he's on there.
Good stuff.
And I have a pizza guy, Sam Namarazzi. I have a professional dancer. I have a Reiki specialist. I even have a bartender. I have this girl who's super dynamic, and she actually created something called Simply Bella's, which is flavored simple syrup. But she has so much to offer, and I have a reality guy, and beauty people, and Terry. I have so many different people.
Wow.
So
way to go.
Thank you. So that's kind of where I'm headed now. And then, of course, just staying freelancing. And so when things happen in the area, I'll definitely promote through TV. I mostly do it through Fox 29 out of Philadelphia. They usually have me, you know, talk about things that are going on. But there's really not a lot going on. So, so I got to kind of put my focuses elsewhere.
Wow. Way to go. Way to go, Whitney. That's great. That's great.
Thank you.
You know, that's really good. It's good to see that you're getting things done and you're getting out there, and even during a time like this, right? I mean, so you know, I'm impressed. I'm just really impressed. So I'm going to let you go here in a minute, but I want to say thank you very much for your time, and I want you guys to be safe over there. And you know, we're going to get through this sooner, and we'll all get back out there and do what we love to do.
Yeah, I hope so, and I thank you for the opportunity. And if you ever need anything, or you're ever in New Jersey, you know who your girl is.
I know. We'll hopefully get back out on the road. We've been writing songs and ourselves, and just writing and getting ready to record again. Even that's a tough nut to do right now, right? So we're just writing, and we've been streaming. You know, the interesting thing with us, you know, we've been streaming in between the two, first surge, and then they started opening things up like you guys a bit, and then we had a second surge, and that shut us down again. But like in between, we were doing all. There was a lot of places doing streaming, so there were different little recording studios that would stream, so you could go into their studio, and they'd stream you live on the net, you know. And we were getting like 1,500 people, you know, for like a short little show. And we're going like, you know, and people from all over the world, from the US, from, you know, South Africa, Australia, and then people in their own neck of the woods. And we're going like, you know what? This is really great. You know, you get to play in a really good environment. You know, it's safe right now, and you're getting responses from people all over the globe. We're going like, this is really cool. We're going to do more of this, you know. So we kind of found some, you know, beside the live, we missed the live stuff, but we're looking forward to, you know, this getting back out and streaming to people that, you know, we could never get to, and they could never get to us, you know.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like the new norm, but it's kind of, since everyone's in the same boat.
Yes.
It could actually you'll reach more people this way, maybe.
We are. I think we are. We think we will reach more people. Beside, you know, recording, releasing our music, you know, which, well, that's growing for us too right now, actually. So we're just expanding. We just signed a bunch of deals for, you know, getting our music streamed on a whole whack of new sites. So we're happy. So things are going for us behind the scenes like you are. There's things happening, but it'd be nice to get back to some reality or some normal stuff, you know, too. But I wish you the best, Whitney, and you know, and be safe, you guys, and have a safe Christmas, and we'll have a better New Year, 2021. I know we will.
Yes, we will. That's right.
All right, Whitney. Take care. Take care. Bye now.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Okay, that was Whitney Ullman. Wow, she's doing a lot. See? That's all you have to do is just make a little effort, and lots gets done. So, this is Izzy Dakota Jones with the Otter Doing Podcast 2021. We'll be talking to you soon. Bye for now.